I've got 1,500 subscribers, but I haven't finished my hormone video. So I thought I'd film some training and talk about it. I've been going a year and I've hit the 1,500 subscriber mark, so I want to thank you all for subscribing. I really appreciate it. I know people say that a lot, but the truth is, although the process is really enjoyable because it creates and cements a lot of the concepts that I have, which is useful for me, when people watch the videos and then like them and comment on them, it feels good to help someone. I wanted to do something to document the milestone, and a lot of you guys have made the great point that I don't do a lot of training videos. That's bang on at the moment, mostly due to space and camera operatives. Also, I've always thought there are loads of guys on YouTube demoing exercises or showing themselves training, and so they kind of got that covered. But I have realized that it's probably worth me giving a more physical representation of the type of training ideas that I have, and so I'm going to try and do that a lot more in the future. But today I just thought I'd take advantage of the good weather and beautiful evening and do some training outdoors. Now, training wise, I tend to run a pattern system all the time. I train legs, core and upper body every day. So legs would be bend, squat, lunge, then bend, squat, lunge, then bend, squat, lunge, day after day continually. And because there are so many different variations of bend, squat and lunge patterns, as well as varying intensities and volumes, that works out really well for me. Upper body wise, I run a horizontal push-pull, vertical push-pull, rotational push-pull, day after day continually as well. I balance the with gravity hip extension volume with the against gravity hip flexor volume, as well as doing ab work weighted all the time. And every morning I always do a bodyweight core workout as a Tabata, which is only 4 minutes. And so far that's got everything back into balance and it's really kept it that way. So tonight I'd already done the upper body, but I wanted to do the lunges quickly. Now I love training outdoors, but the time that I'm training car-wise is a little busy, and that makes training a little bit less easy. And you know, people come up to you and start talking and you have to be polite, but yet you're on the clock and you really need to be watching your recovery, so it can be a bit challenging. So I tried to do this session really fast before it attracted any attention. The plan was 150 lunges with 30 kilos, 10 kilo weighted jacket and 2 10 kilo weights in each hand. Now in terms of bang for your buck, I still rate the lunges the best. You can crush a massively high workload in a very short amount of time. You're also improving neural coordination, proprioception and balance to the highest degree, and it's got the highest translation over to running or sprinting. You're also developing iso contralateral core strength, which basically means it stops you from tipping over one side, which you don't get with squats and deadlifts. And it gets the lateral aspects of your glutes to function in both the hip flexed and hip extended positions. The side of your bum can control your pelvis on both the front and the back leg. I'm going to cheat now and play a section of a video that I made earlier in the year about correct form in the lunge. Hell, I already shot it. I'm not shooting it twice. Play video. 1. You need to make sure your chin is retracted. 2. Imagine there's a ghost pulling your head to the ceiling. 3. Ensure your eyes are level. 4. Roll your shoulders back and down, horizontal and level. 5. Actively squeeze your elbows into your sides. 6. Externally rotate your hands no matter what you're holding on to. Twist your left one anti-clockwise and your right one clockwise. 7. Ensure your nipples are level. 8. Pull your belly button in towards your back to activate your TVA. 9. Ensure your belly button is evenly in the middle of your body and remains even left to right. 10. Stop yourself going number 1 and number 2. 11. Contract your abs as if you were bracing to be punched in the belly. 12. Take a big breath in and hold it during the descent and ascent. As you get fitter, you'll be able to hold it for more reps. 13. You want to have a neutral pelvis front to back. If you have an anterior pelvic tilt, this is achieved by contracting your lower ab. And if you have a posterior pelvic tilt, this is achieved by contracting your lower back muscles. 14. If you have an unlevel pelvis left to right, then you need to isometrically engage the obliques on the lower side to level it off. 15. Externally rotate your front and back hips, engaging the glute med stabilizers. This gives you transverse pattern stability and prevents toppling sideways. 16. Focus your first movement on your glutes, not your knee. Either sit backwards to accentuate hip hinge or lower it down if you want to stay more upright, rather than dropping your pelvis and trying to get your knee to touch the floor. 17. Keep your knees outwards as you go through the movement. 18. Once you've run out of glute, you have the choice to bring in knee travel to the desired amount you want to get that dynamic soleus stretch if you choose. 19. Keep your weight on the middle to outsides of both feet with your big toes on the ground. Press through the heel of your front foot and the toes of your back foot. Twist your left foot anti-clockwise and your right foot clockwise, providing you with a torque force. As I'm training on the road, it means there's a camber, and you know what? That's never a good thing, because it does mess up your biomechanics. If you have to train or run on a camber, my best advice is to go on the apex of it. That puts you into a supinated foot position on either side. If it's just a one-way slope, then yeah, go backwards and forwards, but just don't do a lot of volume on it. I'm also doing on a hill, which I kind of like the challenge of. The downhill is the equivalent of a rear foot elevated lunge, which focuses on the range of movement of the back leg. The uphill is the equivalent of a front foot elevated lunge, which focuses on the range of movement of the front leg. And these are just other variables that add to the overall workout. But I sometimes think that volume can be a little confusing. I set out to do 150 lunges, and that takes me around 10 minutes. But those are two different expressions of volume. You can set out to do a particular number, and that's the internal volume, i.e. your body's capacity. Or you can set out to do a particular time, and that's an external volume, i.e. related to the clock. The distinction is quite important though, because when you start out, volume for time can be a lot more forgiving because you can rest. See, resting still counts as time, so you might do lunging for 10 minutes, but only do 10 lunges, i.e. 1 a minute. If you set out to do a particular internal volume, then you actually have to have the physical capacity to complete that volume. And that's why I'm not a great fan of rep ranges for total volume for beginners. It's often better to just do time. But I also know that reps for time falls afoul of the CrossFit mistake. Doing as many reps as possible in a particular time leads to sloppy form. Because no matter who you are, when you're up against the clock, the best way to combat time is to be less strict with your movements. Now there is an easy solve to that. You deduct a rep for every poor rep. Not the rep doesn't count, you actually take away a rep. You'd see that form sweeten up real quick. But in my case, I know I can handle the total volume because I do a different session where I do 500 lunges in 20 minutes with a 10 kilo weighted jacket. And that session feels really similar to doing a 5K. Your heart rate's up at lactate threshold within 3 minutes or so, and it stays there throughout the whole session. So if you're looking for ways to improve your aerobic fitness but you can't run, that can work out as a good alternative while you're spending the time trying to fix yourself. Anyway, here as I finish, I'm coming out with some sanctimonious nonsense about how there's always time to train even if you only have 10 minutes. With the blood and endorphins up, there's always a tendency to think that everybody can do what you can do. But the truth is, starting is not easy. It's much easier knowing you can do it and feeling good when you do it. When people say, oh, they don't have time, they don't really mean they don't have time, because everybody has time. What they mean is they don't think they're going to get the same payback for that time. And that's not a point to be ignored. They either get more endorphins from doing something else with their time, or they know they're not going to get any endorphins at all from doing it, just pain. And to be fair, even I can be dissuaded from working out. Crowded places, people looking at me, staring, making comments. Recently I went to meet a friend at the airport and I had to wait for 10 minutes in a taxi rank for a taxi. Now I had my workout bands in my bag and I could have done a little shoulder workout to correct my posture from 2 hours of driving, but I didn't. Why? Because there were 3 couples in front of me and I didn't want to draw attention to myself. But to be honest, that was dumb on so many levels. Not doing something that's good for me because of other people I don't know that doesn't hurt them is insane. And you know what? They might have really appreciated me doing it. They might have asked me what I was doing, I explained it, and they thought, that's a great idea, that's what I need to do because my shoulder hurts too. But I focused on the possibility of a negative thought rather than the possibility of a positive outcome for them or the definite positive outcome for me of doing the exercise. That is all down to perspective. I needed to readjust my shades. The only thing you truly own is your body, and you only own it for a short period of time in the greater scheme of things. And your body will cause you a lot of pain over a lifetime if you don't show it a few minutes attention every day. But it'll give you a lot of pleasure if you give it 60 to 90 minutes of love and attention every day. And this here's an example of how I spend 10 minutes dishing out the hugs and cuddles, and hope it might help you. Anyway, this is just an extra video. I'm going to go back to the hormone and nutrition videos and then do a specific exercise series after that. But in the meantime, thanks for subscribing. Oh, damn. That's tough. There's always time to put a workout in.